Hey guys, Brian delivers you the goods here. I'm returning to you tonight. Sorry about the dings. It's my messenger for the final part for Best Songs of 2024 Part 4 video that I wanted to return to you guys for the remainder of the songs that I got left to let you guys know what I think of the rest of the songs. So I'm going to discuss from where I left off, which is number 39 all the way to 1. So we're down to the last part of this end of the year video for best songs of 2024. So let's kick this off with number 39. Marilyn Manson, As Sick as the Secrets Within. Great song. I like Marilyn Manson's vocals in this. And just overall, this track really impressed me off his new album, One Assassination Under God, Chapter 1, which that was a pretty strong record, keep in mind. So I was really impressed with the first single to his new record, and it did really well, execution-wise. Sorry, I was cracking my neck for a second. So, another great song, had to be in the top 40, and it was one of my favorites. That's why I put it at the lower part of the list, close to the lower part of the list. Number 38 is All Time Low and I Prevail with Hate This Song. Great track, very catchy song, for sure. I definitely really grew it. This definitely really grew onto me, this track. So I was really impressed with how what's pretty much Brian's vocals were sounding really good. And then just overall Alex Gaskar's vocals were pretty good when he starts the song. So execution-wise, both three singers, Alex, Brian, and Eric, were doing very well. Eric was doing most of the monotone vocals, then screaming vocals at the bridge part of the song. But it made the track flow very well, and it was a catchy song. Definitely rocks for sure. Number 37 is The Offspring with Come to Brazil. One of my favorite songs that I really enjoyed this year. I was really impressed with how Dexter's vocals sound pretty catchy in this. There were a few critiques I had with it, but nothing to the extent where I thought this was a terrible track. The drumming is very excellent in this song. I think the second half of Supercharged was the best part of Supercharged. So I did enjoy The Offspring Come to Brazil, and it was one of my favorite songs this year. Number 36 is Hot Milk with Where Does the Light Get In? Great track. It came out the same day as Linkin Park's The Emptiness Machine single came out, and it was a strong track for how it executed. It's just mostly both singers, both female vocalists, and the other guy's vocals sound really good in this track. And this track did have some emotional feels to it, is just how it was sounding overall. But it did very well with the vocals, the harmonizing, and just the melody in general sounded really good. I didn't feel an emotional tone towards it because I know this was one of their most emotional songs that they really wanted to release, but I still thought it was a great track when I first listened to it, and it was one of my favorites. It took a little time to grow on me, but I did enjoy it. Number 35 is Fever 333 with Murderer. Great song for sure. Jason Allen Butler's vocals in this sound pretty strong. So I'm really digging this track for how it sounds execution-wise and all that. And this was one of my favorite songs that I listened to so far of the year. Number 34 is Poppy with The Cost of Giving Up. Great track from Poppy off her new album Negative Spaces, which I started listening to it again just recently, like today. And I think Vital was one of my favorite songs from the record. But overall, this track was a banger. It was one of the last two singles to come out before this album was announced. But overall, it executed very well as the third single for the record. So really enjoyed this track. And her screaming guttural vocals are really amazing in this song. Number 33 is The Weeknd with Dancing in the Flames. Great song for how it sounds. Abel's vocals sound really good execution wise, and just overall, the melody. It is a disco electronic kind of feel with this track, but it did perform very well with how this track executed. And overall, the melody was pretty catchy, so good dance pop song to really enjoy. And it's probably one of my favorite songs in the top 35. Number 32 is Poppy again with New Way Out. Great track from what I listened to. I was really impressed with how Poppy's vocals sounded in this track, and just the execution with this song and her screaming guttural vocals in the background sound really good. So I'm really digging how Jordan Fish produced this very well and her new record. He produced very well, and it fused really excellent. This is probably Poppy's best work to date, and it's better than Zig, I'll tell you that. But still, great track. Definitely worthy to be in the top 35. Number 31 is Architects with Curse. Great song that came out. This was also produced by Jordan Fish, ex Bring Me the Horizon member. But it still was a great song for how it sounded. The mixing was well done. Sam Carter's vocals were really excellent in this track, and I really enjoyed this track. Great song for how it sounded. Then you get number 30. The next song I'm going to mention for number 30 is The Ghost Inside Split. A really amazing track. I like how the song sounded overall with Jonathan Vigil's screaming vocals, and his guttural vocals are really aggressive in this track. This was a very aggressive song, and I really enjoyed the melody and all that as the 5th song on their new album, Searching for Solace, that came out earlier this year, which was a great song for sure, and the album was really good too. So, really enjoyed Ghost Inside Split as the single, and definitely was something I definitely come back to a lot when I listen to the record. Number 29 is Kane Hill with Fade Into You. Great song for sure. I really enjoyed the melody and the overall structure of this track as the closing track to the A Piece of Me I Never Let You Find album. It was really good, along with Finding Euphoria was another good one. Before you get to the closing track, which is this song. But it is quite an amazing song. The longer version, which this is the longer version, is much better than the regular song. But the regular song is still really good. Despite that it's shorter, I still enjoyed this version too. So, great song. Definitely worth checking out. Number 28 is Yours Truly with Call My Name. Had to put this at the lower spot in the top 30. But like upper 20s section, but still was an enjoyable track for how it's executed. And Michaela's vocals sound really good overall, and this track performed very well from what I listened to. Great song, definitely worth checking out. Number 27 is Starset with Dystopia. Another great song that I listened to this year. It's probably better than Brave New World. It took a little time to grow on me, this one, but this was one of my favorites that I've listened to in this year for Starset dropping new music and all that. So I think they're going to be dropping a new album in 2025, but we'll just wait and see. It's probably going to be early 2025, like January, February, maybe, I don't know. We'll just wait and see what happens. But overall, Starset Dystopia was a great song, worthy to be in the top 30 of this list, and one of my favorite songs. Number 26 is Wage War with Tombstone. I really enjoyed the screaming vocals from the lead singer. It sounded really good execution-wise, and this track was a banger for sure. The scream vocals, the breakdowns are great, and this is definitely a song you gotta listen to live if you wanna enjoy this track a lot more. They premiered this track at a Welcome to Rockville event when the Welcome to Rockville came to town in Daytona Beach, which I wish I could have gone to that, but I didn't want to go because of Falling Reverse coming there, and that was one of the main reasons, and certain other bands were there too, but that I was unsure if I liked. But overall, Wage War Tombstone, great song. Definitely worth checking out. Number 25 is Poppy with They're All Around Us. Great song too. I really like Poppy's screaming and the opening part to the song, where she says coward. And the scream vocals are great in this track. And her thing at the end of the bridge was really good with the bleh stuff. It was really amazing, this track, and it was one of my favorite songs for this year. Had to be in the top 25. Number 24 is Bad Flower with Detroit. Now, this was a pretty awesome song from what I listened to. Give me a second, I gotta pause the video. Hey guys, sorry about that. My mom was summoning me for a second. She needed help with something. But pretty much, yeah, Bad Flower Detroit was a great song. Josh's vocals sounded really good in this one. Like, chanting choir vocals were pretty amazing in this song, but it's the execution of how the track flowed was very well done, so great song. Number 23 is Fit for a King, Technium. Another banger of a song that I enjoyed back in late July this year. It was one of my favorite songs that I listened to that had to be in the top 25, but it was very well executed, even with Landon Towers screaming and Ryan Kirby screaming. Great harmonization with their screaming vocals, so really enjoyed this track. Number 22 is As I Lay Dying with The Cave We Fear to Enter. Now, this was one of the best singles that came out in 2024, like in the summer of 2024. I think July is when it came out, but it was really well mixed, and the vocalist in the background, the backing vocalist, sounded really good. And Tim Lambesis' screaming vocals worked with this track, but it's the execution of the clean vocals that were really well done, and it made this track flow very well. I really enjoyed this song, so it had to be at number 22. Number 21 is Linkin Park with Over Each Other. One of the better songs of Linkin Park, in my opinion. I know certain people don't really like the new direction Linkin Park's going in, but hey, that's fine. More power to them if they don't like it. That's their opinion. And I can respect that. But it doesn't mean I agree, but I can respect it. But overall, I think Emily Armstrong sounded good in this track with her vocals. And it did very well with this overall track. I mean, she's trying to sound like Chester. That's the biggest critique I have with it. But I wouldn't say it's terrible in any way. I mean, she's trying to have her own style with this new Linkin Park direction, but I know she's trying to make it seem like what would be best for Chester Bennington, for them to continue and all that. Like, what would Chester want and all that. So, I can respect that, but there are going to be some critiques I have with their newer material. But overall, Linkin Park Over Each Other was the best song I listened to this year. It was really catchy, it flowed very well, and Emily Armstrong's singing was pretty good. Number 20 is Bring Me the Horizon with Kool-Aid. Great song from what I listened to this year. It was really outstanding from what I listened to, and I was really enjoying this track. I think Ollie Sykes' vocals were quite outstanding from what I listened to, and his screaming vocals were really good, and the bridge and all that. So, and the verse 2 had some good guttural screaming vocals from him. So this track rocked. It's the third song on the record, Post-Human Next Gen, that came out in May, like late May this year. And it was a very enjoyable record. And it was a surprising album that they surprisingly announced a day before. Said this album's coming out in 24 hours. So I was like, holy shit. But it was the best surprise of 2024 and the best thing we had for this year. So great song, and the album's really good. Definitely go check it out. Number 19 is Knocked Loose with Blinding Faith. Great song too. I really enjoyed how the execution of Brian Garris' screaming guttural vocal sound, and just overall this track was a banger. This crashing snare drum stuff was really good. It sounded very amazing from what I listened to. But overall, this track was a banger for sure. So overall, Blinding Faith was a great song on their new album, You Won't Go Before You're Supposed to. Sorry, I'm texting someone right now. But overall, it was a great song, and Knocked Loose Blinding Faith was the lead single for their upcoming record. Their album that's already out. Sorry about that. I'm saying upcoming record because I think it's coming out in 2025, but it is a great song from what I listened to and worth checking out. Number 18 is Make Them Suffer with Oscillator. Great song from what I listened to, and I really enjoyed how Sean's vocals sounded in this track, and Alex's singing vocals in the background sounded really good. But overall, this track executed very well, and one of my favorite songs of this year. Number 17 is Sum 41 with Waiting on a Twist of Fate. Great song too. Really enjoyed this one for how it sounded. I think it was the only single they announced before the record came out, but it was enjoyable. And I think Dopamine came out the day of the Heaven and Hell album's release. But overall, this track was a banger. And Derek Wilby's singing vocals sounded really good. And the shouting vocals were pretty strong too. This track rocked. Had to be in the top 20. Number 16 is Make Them Suffer Again with Epitaph. Great song from what I listened to. I was enjoying overall the structure of this track. The mixing was well produced and electronic work, it sounded really good. Alex's vocals in this and the chorus were amazing. And overall, Sean's screaming vocals and guttural vocals were quite outstanding to make this track flow very well. It is the 6th song on their new self-titled album, but it is an enjoyable one and a banger. Number 15 is While She Sleeps with To the Flowers, one of the more emotional While She Sleeps songs that I really enjoyed this year, that came out a month before Self Hell came out, which that record was pretty strong and one of my favorite records this year. But overall, I think While She Sleeps, his screaming vocals from the lead singer were good, and the backing vocalists singing majority of the track sounded really good. So I was really feeling for this track. One of my favorite songs, very emotional track with the melody and the message behind the track. So the meaning behind the song was pretty sad. When I watched the music video, I was like, holy crap, this is a sad music video. And with the images they were showing and all that. So overall, number 15 was While She Sleeps To the Flowers. Number 14 is Era with Slow Sour Bleed. This was a really good track. The mixing was well done in this one. I was really enjoying this track, and it was one of my favorite songs of this year. The video was pretty cool too. Jesse's vocals sounded really good, and JTKB screamed very well in this track. I was really enjoying his screaming vocals in this one. Very well done track. It It was the last single to be announced when the record was dropping, but it was overall a great song. Number 13 is Knocked Loose with Suffocate featuring Poppy, a song that they performed on Jimmy Kimmel that did get some backlash from what I found out recently, because parents were getting upset saying they need to make an apology for this performance. It's like, well, you should have never let your kid watch the fucking performance to begin with. If you didn't like music like that, you don't watch it. And give me a second, I gotta pause the video. Hey, sorry about that. I got another phone call from one of my friends, so I'm gonna have to try to speed this video process up and get it finished. So overall, Knocked Loose Suffocate was a great song. I really enjoyed Poppy screaming in this too. It was really outstanding, and the execution to this track flowed very well. And overall, I think Brian Garris' screaming in it was pretty good too. So this was a banger of a song. Definitely worth checking out. Had to be in the top 15. Number 12 is Pop Evil with What Remains. One of the more preferred singles I enjoyed. I know Death Walk wasn't my favorite. I wasn't connecting with that song. It was probably the more weaker tracks that I listened to this year. But overall, this track worked very well with how Lee was singing the majority of the song. And the production and mixing was well produced and well executed. So this track flowed very well, and it was one of my favorite singles that came out in August this year. And hopefully they drop a new album next year, but we'll wait and see. Still, great song from Pop Evil. Had to be in the top 15. Number 11 is Memphis Mayfire with Paralyzed. Memphis Mayfire, Paralyzed. I almost thought I was saying it wrong, but I guess not. But overall, great song from Memphis Mayfire. One of the preferred singles I enjoyed. After Chaotic came out, this came out 4 months later, like late June. But it was still an enjoyable track from what I listened to. And it was one of my favorite songs that came out on June 26th this year. But it was a surprising single that I was amazed with Matty Mullins' singing and his screaming vocals in this great track. Definitely worth checking out. Number 10 is Anberlin with High Stakes featuring Matty Mullins. So this one has Matty Mullins singing and covering for Steven. That is the actual singer of Anberlin, but he had to take a break due to, I guess, his vocals. Needed a rest for his vocals and all that. But overall, he was mostly taking a break for family reasons and other reasons like that. But I think this track worked very well, and I think Anberlin's off to a good start for their new album cycle, Vega. And as a standalone single, this track worked. I hope this is on the deluxe edition for Vega that will be coming out next year, but we'll just wait and see what happens. Still a great song. Matty Mullins sounded really good vocally in this track, and this track was pretty catchy. Number 9 is Dayseeker with My Immortal, the Evanescence cover. I almost said it wrong. Pretty much, I think this was a nice track. It was a little emotional at times, but Rory Rodriguez sounded great vocally in this track. Nice acoustic work. The chorus was pretty strong. He sounded really good through the whole track with what I listened to, and this track flowed very well. One of my favorite songs this year, had to be in the top 10. Number 8 is Dream Theater with Night Terror. Great song from what I listened to this year. One of my favorite songs. It was a 10-minute song, but it was a very well executed track. James LaBrie's vocals were quite outstanding. It's going to be on their new record, Parasomnia, I think is the album's name. That's dropping February 7th next year. They have not dropped another single yet, But I think we're going to be getting one this month or next month. But overall, I think Dream Theater, I almost said Dayseeker again. Overall, Dream Theater's Night Terror, great song, and even the radio edit was pretty strong too. Number 7 is Cane Hill with Drowning Therapy. A strong track from what I listened to, and one of my favorite songs of this year. I really enjoyed how Elijah Witt's vocals sounded in this track. And just execution-wise, this track flowed very well with the mixing and production, and just the chorus sounding really strong. They push me under the surface, pull me out before I drift away, tell me all is forgiven, the cycle repeats, cleanse my serenity. Very strong lyricism, very emotional tone to this track, and I really enjoyed this song. Number 6 is The Plot in You with Don't Look Away. Great track from what I listened to. I was really amazed with this song and how it sounded overall. I think Landon Towers' screaming vocals were quite outstanding in this track, made the track flow very well, and it was one of my favorite songs this year. And the screaming and the drum work and guitar work was really good. Video was very creepy too, and really odd, but it still worked. This track executed very well. One of the best tracks of this year. Had to be in the top 10. Number 5 is Ice Nine Kills with A Work of Art. Another track about Art the Clown from Terrifier. It was a great song that I heard this year. The Wage Spencer Charness, I meant to say, almost said Spencer Chamberlain from Underoath. Please forgive me for just about saying that. Still a great song. This track flowed very well and executed very well. The video is pretty gruesome and gory, keep in mind, but it executed flawlessly and had to be in the top 5 of the year-end list for best songs of 2024. So number 4 is Bring Me the Horizon with Utopia. Great track from what I listened to this year. I really enjoyed Ollie Sykes' vocals in this track. The chorus is very memorable. The verses are pretty strong. Even the pre-chorus was pretty strong. And overall, the outro to the track was amazing. And with his vocals and just execution-wise, this was the best song on Posthuman Next Gen, and one of my favorite tracks to be in the top 5 of the best songs of 2024. Now moving on to number 3, we have The Ghost Inside Again with Wash It Away. Great track. Really enjoyed this to be in the top 3. In third place of, I guess you could say, which song is going to be the best song of the year. But overall, I like Jonathan Vigil's regular vocals in this, and his scream vocals at the bridge part of the song was good. They were definitely getting wet in this music video, but I really enjoyed the visuals in the music video. It looked pretty cool and pretty dope, and the song itself was really good and had to be in the top 5 and the top 3 of the best songs of 2024. Number 2 is Breaking Benjamin with Awaken. So this was the runner-up to Best Song of the Year. I wish this could have been number 1, but I think you kind of know what the number 1's going to be. But overall, great song that I listened to this year. I really enjoyed the execution of how Ben Burnley's vocals sound in this track. This would have been my favorite song of the year, but it was the runner-up. But still, it did really strong with the execution and could have been number 1 until this next song came out recently that I really enjoyed and is personally the best song of the year. But overall, great track. The scream vocals are amazing, and execution-wise, this track flowed very well. So, one of my favorite songs this year, and runner-up to almost being the best song of 2024. So now to number 1, drum roll please. 3 Days Grace with Mayday. This had to be number one, personally. I really enjoyed this track. I think it executed very well. I think both Adam and Matt's vocals sounded really good. Gontier, I believe is his last name's how you pronounce it. I'm not sure. Let me know in the comment section below. But still, great track to end off the year in a good way. And I think they're going to be dropping an album next year sometime. They call it 3 Days Grace 2X or something. 2 times. I don't know. That's what they're calling themselves now. But it still was a great song from what I listened to. And this track executed very well. When the chorus came in, it was strong, it was hard-hitting, and it was in your face, and definitely a great track to really jam out to. One of the best songs of 2024, and the best song of the year. Had to be best song of the year because I wanted to end it off on a good note with which one would be the best song of 2024, and it was this one. So 3 Days Grace Mayday, congratulations. You made it as my best song of 2024 and the best song of the year. So thank you guys so much for watching the best songs of 2024 parts 1 to 4. I hope you enjoyed these 4 videos that I've been putting out to you as of lately. The next end of the year videos start next weekend, so definitely stay tuned for those. For OK to Man albums and OK to Man movies. So I'll try to get what I can done with some other movies I need to watch, but overall, if I can't finish any other OK to Man movies, I'm going to start writing the list by the middle of the week or close to the end of the week. But until then, thank you guys for watching this weekend video for worst songs of 2024 and best songs of 2024 videos. I hope you enjoyed these next 2 end of the year videos I've been putting out to you this weekend. Well, I did like 5 videos total this weekend for end of the year videos, but still the fact of the matter is I hope you enjoyed these videos. And thank you guys for watching this end of the year video. I'll see you in my next review.